Hedgewitch Herbarium presents How to Create a Witchy Garden, including my plans for the garden in 2026, how to map and plan your garden, how to prepare for propagation, pagan plant correspondences, and at the end I'll be sharing some of my plants. My plans for the garden in 2026 for medicinal, culinary, ritual and cosmetic use, including products to sell locally at the farmers' markets, etc., leftover seedlings to be sold or donated locally, creating my sacred space, and sharing created content on my YouTube channel, here on Hedgewitch Herbarium. How to map and plan your garden. Use Google Maps unless you have a drone to capture images to get a good idea on where the full sun to full shade areas are on your property. You can always do container planting if you don't have enough land to use or if you have minimal space. So as you can see here, I have marked out my property according to full sun or full shade or partial shade, and some of the plants that I've grown, some of them are in pots, so that just to overwinter them because I don't want to leave them out for the whole season because we don't want them to get wrecked in the winter. But some of the plants require full sun, some require rocky soil, so I just planned by using this map to get a good idea of what areas need what and what plants grow where. So this is the planning for spacing, and you can use a spreadsheet if you like. I go anal with spreadsheets, but here I've put down the cost of, well, at least how many seeds I had, what's left over, etc., and what I can sell. But I've also colour-coded them according to what's the tallest plant and therefore what's the smallest, and you can see in the colours there how I space them as well. And like I said, use a notebook or a spreadsheet to plan, and here I've gone into a lot of detail where I have the whether they're starting indoors or outdoors, how long it takes for them to germinate after you've planted them, or sown the seeds, I mean. And then we've got columns there with where I need to use sand for some of them. Some seeds need scarification, like using sandpaper to get the tough outer husk off so it can start growing. Some seeds need cold or warm stratification, so you might be putting seeds in soil or sand in a little baggie and putting them in the fridge for up to 90 days. Or you might be putting them in a little baggie with sandy soil or just soil to put in a drawer or a warm place in your house so that it can stratify. I've also got in one column I've got where I needed to use pots. Sorry, I'm stumbling with my words. And also the sow dates. This is an older spreadsheet. I just used this to show you whether they need transplanting or not. The DTH means date to harvest and how long it takes for it to come to fruition. I've got perennials and annuals and biannuals, so that means the perennials, they'll come back every year. The annuals only grow for one season, and the biannuals will come back a second year, but then you need to re-sow the seeds and start a whole new batch. But I've also got little notes there too about any specifics I need to take into consideration, like when to transplant and so on. And here I'm showing the planning for purchases, just so you can get an idea of how much you'll need, therefore how much you'll need to spend. And of course you can do it cheap, maybe raid your friends or family's sheds to see if they've got shovels, seed beds or seed trays and so on. But also things like what kind of soils for different plants, if I need rocks, pots, large and small. And even as you can see there for the Dittany of Crete, that was a hanging pot. And also the different types of tools that you'll need, like sandpaper for different plants. I needed it for marshmallow that year. And weed mats, fertilizer, all the different things that you might need. But of course, that's after you research all the plants to discover what their growing needs will be, and then you can plan accordingly. So this just helps you keep on track and get an idea of what you need to be doing. So how to prepare for propagation. Starting seeds indoors or in a greenhouse if you're lucky, you'll need seed trays, heating mats for plants that need to maintain a steady temperature to germinate, like peppers or tomatoes, potting soil and mixes depending on the needs. Some seeds require rich soil while others require sandy. Spray bottles for plants that need misting to start with rather than regular watering, because you don't want to be splashing the seeds all over the place if they're really fine and have to be surface sown. Composting and preparing for the final destinations in the garden or pots. Planning for the use of fertilizers, organic where possible of course, following permaculture principles to attract beneficial pollinators and to reduce the need for pesticides, and other needs such as sandpaper for seeds that need to be scarified and mediums for stratification. So here is a pagan plant correspondence chart that I put together. This was really just for me, for my garden, the ones that I felt closely a close affinity with. You might think differently, but just feel free to take a screenshot if you wanted to use this as a guide for yourself. I like to plan my garden in order, in alignment with what direction they'll be facing, and also what deity that I've consecrated them to. It's a real ritual when you're growing your own plants and then transplanting them, and of course afterwards seeing them grow. It's just a beautiful experience, especially if you're a green thumb like me. So also I'm just going to finish up here by showing you just a few shots from my garden. So this is French thyme, scientific name Thymus vulgaris, and I love French thyme specifically for cooking, especially with casseroles and sauces and things. It's just a beautiful flavour. I don't really use my French thyme for ritual use. It's just one herb I just haven't thought of using for that, but it's a beautiful, pretty herb to have in the garden, especially in pots. And here's my elephant garlic, scientific name Allium ampeloprissum. And I love elephant garlic the best. It's sometimes even a spicy flavour, but you get big cloves of garlic out of it. It's tasty, and you can even eat the ramps, like the leaves. You can chop them off and they'll keep growing. They're actually tasty. I did that in a stir fry. Delicious. Here we have honeysuckle, which I often use for ritual as well as a tea, scientific name Lonicera japonica. And there you can see in the other picture one of my harvests I did, and it's just like, to me, chamomile. It's very gentle for children. It's a very good nervine. I find it's very relaxing, especially at the end of a hard day, but it's also really fun to go and harvest honeysuckle. It's lovely. And of course the jewel in the crown, this is my favourite in the garden, Valyrian. My Valyrian patch is really just a lovely place to walk around, especially in summer. And the cats really love it too. Of course, Valyrian, the scientific name is Valeriana officinalis, and it's great for sleep. It's one of the strongest herbs you can get for anxiety. It's just a beautiful plant to watch and grow and take. And of course, Skullcap, lovely scientific name, Scutellaria lateriflora. And you might want to check out some of my herbal profiles where you get to see a little bit more about the magical properties. I use Skullcap a lot in a lot of my anxiety teas, and it's another one that's nice and gentle for children. Of course, you've got to watch dosage with anything that you give children, but it's also really pretty in the garden, and I'm sorry I don't have a picture with the flowers. They're beautiful. And here I wanted to show sort of like a lineage that might be inspiring for you. So you can see in that first picture up there, that's sage that I started indoors. And then of course when they were transplanted outdoors, I had to get them used to being outside but bringing them in at night for a while until they got used to it and toughened up. And of course once I'd transplanted them, I was able to go out later in the season and harvest. As you can see in that other picture down the bottom, I've got French thyme, oregano, or oregano as you say here, parsley, and my green pepper there, as well as some other herbs. And I just can't remember just by looking at them what they are, but it's a nice mix there, and it's a wonderful feeling just coming in with your herbs after you've been in the garden. And then of course there's some products I've made which I will get back into, including teas and medicines. So thanks for watching. I'm really happy to share this information with you, and I can't wait to share the video of how the garden evolves, just to show you the flow of it and the magic of not only growing the plants but collecting them and making medicine and magic. Anyway, blessed be.